We're so excited you're all here today. We are in the 2023 mindset in many ways, doing strategy, doing planning, and I assume that you are here because you are in the same boat. This has been a weird year. I wish we were here with a crystal ball to tell you, just hold on till like March 24th, and the market's going to be roaring back. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. Zoe, did you bring your crystal ball?
I did not. I left it in my car. Sorry.
Sharon, do you have your crystal ball with you?
No, but I do have some karma dice. Maybe that would help.
Hey, we'll take what we can get.
Absolutely. Well, I want to introduce Zoë Meggert. She's the founder of Perfectly Planned Content. As I got to know Zoe, I realized that she had some really valuable expertise, which is exactly why we launched this webinar, because she knows things that I think you will need to know as you're in the planning phases for 2023. Zoe works with financial planners to develop and implement unique content marketing strategies that connect and, most importantly, convert. Before we get going on your 2023 marketing KPIs and all things to watch, measure, and change in 2023, Zoe, will you tell us how you landed in the world of financial services?
Yes. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be super exciting. I love talking about planning and all things like annual marketing planning, so that'll be good. As far as me landing in financial planning services, it kind of happened in a roundabout way. So I had connections in financial planning just throughout college and my early career, but never really thought of it as like the way that I was going to market. And I actually worked with tech firms and a lot of like Internet of Things companies, the auto industry, because I was from Michigan originally, did a lot of content marketing there. But I had one financial planning client who was a fee-only financial planner, and they were far and away my favorite person to work with. And I just decided, if I enjoy this so much, why am I not focusing on this market? I loved personal finance in my own life, and I just kind of took a risk. I was, when you're 22 and able to do that sort of thing, niched down, and I haven't looked back. It's been like this since 2016, and it's been a fantastic journey.
Well, I think that says a lot that your favorite client was a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah. No, I love working with planners, always have, and just really enjoy the impact that they have on their clients' lives, and have enjoyed working with them on their marketing strategies over the years.
So as we talk kind of on a broader scale about measuring the effectiveness of your marketing, I think it's easy to assume that you put this kind of standard measurement in place and it works year after year after year. Do you find that to be true?
So often I would agree. I think that's typically the standard measurement of tracking KPI success, right? And KPIs, key performance indicators. So things like, what's your list size? How many prospects came through your funnel? One of the number one things I often hear advisors track are, what's our total AUM growth year over year? And that's how we're going to track the health of the business. But especially as we enter a recession, sometimes those KPIs don't make sense anymore, right? If you just said it, right? We don't have a crystal ball. If markets continue to fluctuate, is total AUM for your business actually a good indicator of health? If you're going to bring on X number of clients, but maybe their portfolios are worth less this year, is that actually showing how successful you've been in a recession? So I usually recommend shifting your KPIs based on what the markets are doing and based on the season you're at in your business, because ultimately you define success for yourself, just like individuals define financial success when you're building their plan. And so it's really critical that you adjust kind of in an ongoing capacity.
So if AUM was your standard way of measuring, what would you recommend taking a closer look at in 2023?
I usually recommend two things. And so almost dividing your key performance indicators into two subcategories, right? Ultimately, all marketing is going to lead ideally, right, to sales and conversion. And that's sort of an indicator of business health. But one thing that I recommend looking at, sort of your first bucket, is actually your current clients. So hyper-focusing on them during a down market, during a turbulent time. We've all seen it throughout COVID. Advisors who have clients who really trust them and really felt like they had a strong relationship with them were more like, those advisors were more likely to succeed, to have clients who stuck it out, and to really build those relationships in a continuing capacity. And a lot of them actually grew throughout the pandemic instead of seeing a slowed growth. So the first sort of key performance indicator is actually flipping your marketing on its head and thinking about, how am I serving my current clients? Putting out some surveys to see, hey, are they satisfied with services? What sort of content do they like to see? Are they watching my videos or reading my blog? And really understanding that relationship on a deeper level. So that's sort of like category one, right? And you can sort of determine specific key points there. Category two is firm growth. And if AUM is no longer a good representation of firm growth during turbulent market times, I really recommend looking at total number of clients signed versus the number of ideal prospects you spoke with. I feel like that's a really key differentiator, because you may have a ton of new prospect calls, but if none of them are actually ideal clients who are signing on the bottom line, or alternatively, if they all are ideal clients, but no one's signing on, that's a good representation that something might be wrong, especially during a down market or a turbulent time or a recession, to say, okay, why am I not converting? Or why is my messaging not bringing in the ideal clients I want to convert at the end of the day?
I love that you say focus on your current clients, because I do believe the most powerful marketing tool we have is to give excellent service to the clients you already have.
Absolutely.
And I think we hear so often from advisors that I don't lose clients. I mean, you get kind of stuck in this mindset of, my clients love me. I don't need to do that much to nurture that relationship. But statistically, I know this to be true, that there is more money in motion when the markets go down. And so your clients are looking for reasons to leave when the markets are down. The flip side of that is that there are more people looking for new help. And so, Zoe, I think what you said is so true. If you can be a better solution than the advisor they're working with, then you have the opportunity to actually grow as the markets go down. Zoe, what do you think the things you can do to let potential clients know in the 2023 environment that you might be a better fit? Like, how would you advise an advisor?
Absolutely. So one thing that a lot of our clients saw going through COVID, going through the pandemic, trying to grow in these, it was sort of the word of the day for 2 years, unprecedented times, right? Is they really focused on their current clients and generating more referrals through organic content. So I always say that a client sending on a video you did, or forwarding an email, or having a friend read a blog post is so much easier for them than digging out your business card after an annual or twice a year surge meeting, right? If you stay in front of them more often with educational content and with mission focused content, they are much more likely to act as your best advertisers and go out and say, hey, I know you said that you've not even heard from your advisor during this recession. Look at what mine is sending me. They're being proactive with communication. I feel like I can trust them. And so kind of to answer your question, I guess, again, focusing on current clients and providing them with education and support and communication so that you can then get referrals in sort of the long run. But you can also proactively ask, right? So asking for things like referrals, Google reviews, and letting them know how you've served people in this sort of situation. And even like a checklist of, we call it like a second opinion checklist or something, right? Hey, you've got an advisor, but are they doing these 10 things like when the market is down? Have you heard from them in the last 6 months? What sort of educational content are you looking for? I'm happy to help you with that and serve that up. So that's usually what we recommend, is really leaning into organic content and just being a resource. Most advisors genuinely want to help people. It's why they got into this business, right?
Well, and we are in the marketing space, and KPIs are super important, but I came across this stat from a 2022 survey from Content Marketing World. And if you don't know Content Marketing World, they have a huge convention in Cleveland every September that I'm dying to go to, but it's always the same time as something else. They don't specifically work with advisors, but across the board, 59% of marketers agree strategy was the most frequently cited need to improve their video results. And when you think about all the people doing video out in the digital arena, how many people really have a strategy behind that? If they're just throwing stuff out there with no strategy, how do you measure? How do you know if you're successful? So, Zoe.
Okay. Measuring or
What
knowing
kind
if
of
you're
KPIs when it comes to, say, video marketing should advisors be concerned with or looking at?
Yeah, so I like to kind of define KPIs as both like hard KPIs, so easy to track, right? And I always bring it back to your Google Analytics dashboard or your YouTube sort of dashboard just to see what is your video viewership? Is it steadily increasing or staying consistent? What topics are getting the most views, right? And that can kind of help you determine going forward, what do people want to hear most about? What are people rewatching? You can also see, especially with video, you can get really granular, right? And I'm sure you guys can speak to this better since I tend to focus more on written content, but where do people drop off, right? Like, is it at minute 2? Is it 60 seconds? Where am I losing my audience? So some sort of KPIs and stats that way might make sense. I also like to track some sort of softer KPIs. A lot of advisors keep like a win folder, and I recommend this for everyone who does marketing as well, is when has a client mentioned in a meeting that they saw a video? When have they said, oh yeah, I had my mom watch that because it really like made a lot of sense to me? Those things are harder to track, but I think that they're still really important to show that you're reaching the people who you actually care about, who are your clients and your ideal client type, right? As far as your Google Analytics, you can also see what sort of keywords are we ranking for? I'll send a couple of keyword tools that are free that we use to you guys afterwards as well that can help just to see if like, is the organic video I'm doing even helping with that? Are we continuing to rank for keywords we want? What's our total traffic driven to the website? What pages or videos or vlogs are they landing on? Those are all good KPI measurements to look at as well.
So let's get down to,
sorry.
Go ahead, Sharon.
I mean, one easy trick, and all of our clients know that we're always sending them. One thing we've found is that when you use a thumbnail with your face on it, it gets better traction than a thumbnail with some generic B-roll or image on it. So, I mean, that's an interesting little tidbit that we've seen over the years. So personality forward.
So with that stat Sharon shared, and it was specifically about video content marketing, but the strategy behind it seems to be what's missing for so many people. And Zoe, with your tips of, well, let's survey clients, let's create a checklist, let's continue to do video, all of those things, the underlying structure of all of that is a strategy. So let's talk a little bit about the nitty gritty. What kind of tips can you give to the advisors who are sitting here today that they can put to use in the coming year when it comes to laying that foundational strategy?
Absolutely. So I think advisors get shoulded a lot, right? When it comes to their marketing, you should do this. You should have a blog. You should be podcasting. Your video should be XYZ, right? It can feel really overwhelming. A lot of times when I speak to consulting clients, they kind of say, I kind of know what I want to do, but gosh, it just feels like there's so many options. I'm not even sure where to start. I don't know my head from my toes. Please just help me sort it out. So I usually recommend starting with what I call pillar content. So for this, it's all organic. It's not paid. You can explore paid ads later, but as you're building out your strategy, figure out what your pillar content pieces should be. It's like 4 to 6 pieces. They can be longer videos, webinars, longer blog posts or podcasts, whatever your sort of medium is, that cover a key client pain point. So this is kind of where that survey comes into play, right? So I would recommend, obviously we're kind of buttoned up against the end of the year, so you can push it into January if you need to. Survey your clients and figure out what prompted you to reach out to me in the first place? Or what are you experiencing right now that's keeping you up at night financially? Ideally, the answer will be nothing, you're amazing. But more than likely, they've got some sort of concern, right? Aging parents, I've got stock about to vest, my kids are going to college, and holy Hannah, is that expensive, right? Something is bothering them. So once you kind of can collect a grouping of 4 to 6 key topics, that's your pillar content right there. You can create these longer blog posts or videos or what have you that speak to those pain points. That could be an instructional guide, educational, empowering, right? Sometimes it's just, hey, I'm experiencing in general financial anxiety and I don't know how to deal with that. Maybe that's the answer that you need in your content is, how can you approach financial anxiety, right? So it doesn't have to be super technical like stock options or Social Security. So once you have this pillar content, figure out ways to repurpose that content throughout the year in whatever is scalable for you that you can be consistent. So this is kind of where the strategy building component comes in, right? We'll say, I always use like Social Security as a good example. I feel like it's a pretty common one. If all of your clients are widows or divorcees and they need to know how to navigate Social Security heading into retirement, maybe you have one really long video or a webinar that is, 60 minutes or so, 30 minutes that you can really get into the nitty gritty. From there, you can take that webinar, you can edit it into smaller shorts that go up onto social media. You can create Canva graphics with pull quotes. You could transcribe it so that it's a longer blog post or ebook. You can take one long form piece of content and make it into, I like to say hundreds, but realistically, right? Like 10 to 20 different pieces of smaller content that then you can parse out throughout a quarter. So if your goal is to have one key pillar piece of content per quarter, you really only have to create once, and then you can delegate the mini creation out, right? So that's sort of the strategy I've been telling advisors, especially heading into a recession where we always say that like advisors earn their money when the market is down, right? Because they've got clients calling, they're stressed out, new prospects want to roll in. You don't want to spend all of your time over creating and reworking the wheel again and again. So figure out what those key pain points are, how you can answer them succinctly in long form content, and then repurpose where you can.
We like to call it the turkey dinner approach. You start with the big Thanksgiving turkey, and then you keep using the leftovers in different ways that are creative.
I love that. Yeah, we call it like the reduce, reuse, recycle approach.
I think people are hesitant to do it because it feels old to them. I've already talked about this. Everybody's heard it. And the reality is they haven't, right? You post something on social and it's a flash in the pan and it goes away and not everybody saw it. And so I absolutely think that's a great idea. Before I ask you the next question, I have a question for everybody sitting on this call. Open up your chat and drop in for me what you consider to be KPIs for your success for the coming year. And they can be exactly what you measured this year. Hopefully you got some good ideas of some tweaks, but I'd like to compare what different people are measuring. And I ask you this because we talk to individual advisors about it all the time in goal setting, and we find that there isn't a standard across the board. So it might be AUM, it might be net new assets, it might be total households. Just drop in the chat whatever it is you have been tracking so far. And then I wanted to ask you, Zoe, we have made a kind of tactical strategy shift with our video clients. And if you're working with us with Idea Kit, you've heard this from us already, that in the past, if you didn't want to talk about the markets, don't talk about the markets. If you feel like that should be a piece of your content strategy, we are here to help you do that. That really shifted midway through this year, where we are making a very strong recommendation that at least part of your video marketing strategy include timely topics, because it is just on the minds of your clients and they are worried. Zoe, are you making any kind of tactical shift recommendations for 2023 other than the great ideas you've already shared with us?
Yes. So we have always kind of taken an approach that the strategy or the calendars we build for clients are evergreen, right? Because obviously we can't account for, hey, student loan repayments are getting pushed again. Like those sort of things change on the fly. And so your calendar, I usually recommend stays evergreen topics with the, acknowledgement, I guess is a good way to phrase it, that like things happen in the world of finance, everything is constantly in flux. And so making space in your calendar to respond to those things in a timely capacity, I think makes sense. What I want advisors and what we're kind of recommending our clients steer away from are sort of like the quarterly market reports. I think that they can be valuable, but a lot of times they're very retroactive and reactive, right? They're thinking about, hey, this is what happened in the last quarter. I'm going to summarize it for you. When if the market fluctuated a month ago, halfway through the quarter, my panic as a client may have already come and went, and I may feel like it's a little too late, right? So I recommend getting away from that as part of your like recurring calendar, and instead focusing on the pain points your clients are experiencing and either making space in your own calendar to create timely content that like responds to what's happening now. That could be a weekly newsletter. And I don't want advisors to think either that this has to be like ultra professional, turned out, at max high quality. I think a quick Loom video, if you need to respond to something quickly, makes sense. A couple paragraphs in a quick newsletter you blast out to clients makes sense. It doesn't have to be perfect if it's responding to something immediate. And that shows them that you care as well, right? So it's not necessarily part of your strategy other than that it's going to be really high value and educational. A couple other things we've seen advisors do that just depending on your capacity might make sense is subscribing to like a service that maybe releases, I know like Buckingham does it, I think Schwab does it as well, sort of like synopsis things that people can use that do respond to timely things like market fluctuation, inflation, stuff like that. And so if you don't want to create the content that relates to it, you can always take some of that, repurpose it, put your own spin on it, and that might give you a good starting point if you feel like you're slammed and don't have time.
I think that you put your own spin on it piece is so important because that content is out there and your clients can get it anywhere. And
yes,
what really sets it apart is you putting your own perspective. I love it when I hear advisors giving a personal story that brings to life, the way everyone is feeling, the uncertainty. And I think that can really set you apart when you're addressing timely topics.
Absolutely, yes. And like you had said, putting your own spin on it is so important, even if it's just a quick intro. Hey, this piece from Buckingham is on inflation. Here's what I've been hearing from my clients about their concerns. Here's what we're recommending. Here's a little bit more information that you can go in depth if you would like to. It takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes of your time to put that together and is worth its weight in gold.
Do we have any questions from the audience here for Zoe? You'll have to unmute yourself.
In the meantime, thank you for dropping everything in the chat. So just to review some of the ways that your peers here are measuring new ideal clients, asset growth, client retention, new referrals, things like overall production, total households, not necessarily AUM, client retention, community awareness, which is pretty cool, social media awareness, both. I would love to hear from you, Liz, how you measure those things. How are you measuring community awareness? I'm gonna make you unmute.
Oh,
We
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just started to do it more because I think, as you know, I use Oxley for my social media, but I'm trying to be more active in the community, just doing community things, just to bring additional awareness, trying to set myself apart from all the other guys in the office.
Thanks, Liz. And Sean, I am intrigued with your ambassadors answer, your referral program. Sean, if you're there, I don't see you, but I see that you're still here. So if you're with us, would you unmute and tell us a little bit about your ambassador program?
Yep. Hey, I'm there. Oh, I have this blocked, don't I? There we go. Yeah, it's just a new program that we're trying to launch. Just our referral program for 2023. I guess we started it part of the way through 2022. And it's just a kind of a defined program that we have where kind of an experience firm. We do a lot of events for clients, appreciation events, but this is just another way that clients can bring, friends, family. And once they bring somebody, they're in the ambassador program and their friends are in the program for the year too. So we had a pretty good response, and we just had one of the big ambassador events, wine type event, and had a good number of people there. So
it's like
that's
a
awesome.
rewards
I love that idea.
Yeah, super creative. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Let's see, anything else? Referrals from existing clients. Joe, are you still with us? Let's see, yeah. Joe, would you unmute if you're available, and tell us how you track, how you're tracking your KPIs. Do you have a spreadsheet that you're comparing week on week with client meetings and referrals?
Hey, so maybe it's many years of corporate leadership. I try not to spreadsheet and week over week comparison, but we do use Redtail to track referrals from existing clients, and it appears that out of the households we brought on, almost exclusively they have been referrals from our existing clients. We talk through in every client review that we make ourselves available when somebody who's important to one of our clients has questions about their finances or portfolios, and they don't ever have to become a client, and it feels like that's where we've gotten the most wins from.
Thanks, Joe. So Zoe, I feel like we're facing 2023 with a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict it, and we don't have a crystal ball. However, I do firmly believe that even in a down market, even in a recession, that next year holds a lot of possibility and opportunity for advisors. Are you seeing that?
I completely agree. I feel like people are, even though we're still dealing with economic uncertainty and some shifts in the tides there, people are really almost like shaking off like the pandemic 2 years, whateverness that's sort of been weighing us all down. They're ready to make a change. They're ready to take ownership. And a lot of people I have found have had a massive shift in values and what their goals are over the last few years. And they're looking for someone to help them with that. They value their time. They value their families. They're kind of tired of DIYing constantly in the hustle and bustle of everything. And I've seen this across all of our clients, regardless of market. So people who are working with millennials all the way up to retirees, people are just much more in tune with working with experts because they're valuing their own time so much more. I don't know why that is or what exactly has shifted in our country mentality that has caused that, or at least for my clients, but I think it really presents a unique opportunity for advisors to shine and do what they do best, right? Which is educate, empower, and really focus on what those pain points or goals are for their clients, despite, or I guess in spite of what the market is going through, right? So that could be retiring successfully, buying a house, sending your kids to college. And this was something, as someone said, tracking like client referrals. Something else I had one client do recently, and he loved it, was part of his wins was tracking his client wins throughout the year. So like his KPIs weren't exactly tied to marketing, more of like company success, but he was tracking how many of my clients did buy their house, graduate, or their kids from high school, retire successfully, transition careers. And then he shared it out in like a client community newsletter this last month. And clients loved it. They were like, wow, like your community is thriving. The people who you serve are thriving in spite of what's happening economically or whatever else. And I thought that was really cool and like an interesting way to track your value add as an advisor.
Zoe, thank you so much. I want to offer all of you the opportunity, if you have a specific question for Zoe about how to do this, about what you personally should be tracking, stick around. We like to call it after hours. But after we kind of sign off here, just feel free to stick around. And Zoe has an offer of some great resources. Tell us what you can find here, Zoe.
Yes. So if you head to our Start Here page, you will find just a quick overview of everything that we're all about, what we offer as far as services go. We also have a really robust content library and resource center. So if you're looking for blog ideas, content marketing calendar templates, we have all of that available. So if you want to head to our website, all of that's there. It's free to sign up. And we hope that if you have any questions, you reach out.
That's fantastic. Thanks for offering that up. And we have a teaser for next month, your ABA on demand, because you asked for it. We are bringing you some great insights once a month now. So for January on the 15th, mark your calendars. We are going to be talking more about 2023 planning and bringing you the best story ideas, the things that you should be considering to be including in your strategy for 2023. So we'll have video examples and great ideas that will get you inspired. So we'd love to see you there, and look for a follow-up email with an invite so that you can register for that.
And then you can take those story ideas and all the great resources Zoe has and just have a kick-ass 2023
I say,
marketing.
boom, there's your strategy.
There you
between
go.
those two
Done.
things, you got it.
Absolutely done. I found this fun quote, which I thought really worked with what Zoe was talking about today. When a big wave's coming at you, the best way to not to get pummeled is to dive right in, from Dan Harris.
I love
10% happier. Who doesn't want to be 10% happier?
Thank you, Zoe, so much. Thank you all for being here, and stick around if you have a question. We'll
Yeah,
hang
thanks
out.
for having me.